Hello, Mark here. Yes, we're going to make a witch's hat out of felt, about doll's size or slightly bigger. I use these for gonks in actual fact. So what we do to start with is we fold the felt so we have a pointed, and we cut slightly curved across. I've done this several times so I know roughly what size I want to do, but you might actually want to measure whatever you're going to make this hat for so you can get the size right. But don't forget that you're going to have a seam down either side, so you want to have at least half an inch, quarter of an inch seam to the side. It's just a tricky part for somebody like me, my age with my eyesight. I use one of these, I don't know what they're called actually, but they're quite handy to thread a needle. Well, you know, the old eyesight's failing, but these are quite handy little gadgets. They just slide through the eye of the needle, you put your cotton through and you put it back through, and there you are, threaded needle, without all the sort of stabbing away that I used to do. Now then, I use a thimble. And I guess you'd actually say it was the finger next to the index finger. So it would be what? Thumb, finger, thimble finger. Because I find it, well, I actually trained to be a bespoke tailor. And this is where I was taught to use a thimble. And you push the needle through with the thimble so it doesn't hurt your finger, and you don't spend time pulling and pushing and pulling. And this is a basic back stitch that I'm doing, and you'll notice that you go back slightly over your previous stitch, just slide up the thumbnail. Now this can get tricky because I actually have, from time to time, instead of going over the needle, over the thumbnail, under the thumbnail. Ouch. And that kind of hurts. But that's basically the way I do it. Like I said, this is a basic back stitch. Oh, you could do this on a sewing machine if you so wish, but I'm doing it by hand so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I don't actually sew as fast as this. This is slightly speeded up. It'd be handy if I did. But there we are. So that's the basic cone of the witch's hat done. Now you could use this as a Gonks, sort of gnome type hat as it is if you wanted to. Just trim that side piece off and then just turn it inside out. There you go. And I use this is actually a paintbrush handle I'm using just to poke out the end, but don't push too hard, otherwise with felt it will tear and you'll go straight through. So then you need to do the brim of the hat. Now then, this is a bit tricky, but what I do is I place the cone of the witch's hat onto the felt, like so. And you need to do this on a flat surface, otherwise it will fall over. And I use tailor's chalk or dressmaker's chalk, and you can get this in various different colours: blue, yellow, red, white. This is only a tiny piece I got left because I tend to use it a lot, and it comes in sort of either triangles or oblong shapes, but it's very useful. So you carefully draw around your cone, the witch's hat, like so. you end up with the circle, the outside of the hat. Now then, what we're going to do now, we're going to cut around the sides. Now this doesn't have to be done accurately, really. You can do whatever you want, because it is actually, after all, a witch's hat that we're making. I'm doing this one in white felt so you can actually see what I'm doing, because obviously you can make it whatever colour felt you want, or you can use whatever material you want, bearing in mind that it wants to be a relatively stiff material, otherwise the brim will be too floppy, which is, well, that's fine if that's what you're going for, but I mean, I've made these out of denim's quite good, so or anything canvasy, calico, canvas, which obviously you can get in other sort of colours and things, but anyway, like I said, you just cut round to get the brim of the witch's hat. And it helps if you use sharp scissors. I've actually normally used tailor shears for this, because you really want to use sharp scissors, and these aren't slightly blunt, cutting too much paper. There you are. Then there's the basic shape. Now, what I use to cut the centre out, I use nail scissors because they're sharp and they're slightly curved. Now, what you want to do with these is you've got to cut inside your chalk line. Now, I usually do 1/4 inch or just over inside the chalk line, because you don't want to cut around the chalk line, because otherwise when you put the brim onto the cone, it will just fall off. So you cut round on the inside and you cut this all the way around like so, to get your brim of the hat. There we are, discard the centerpiece. There we are. Now you'll see what I mean. Now I tend to brush off some of the excess chalk. I mean, it's going to be underneath the brim of the hat, so it's not really that important. But I mean, I have actually used pens to mark this. But I find if you do, you sometimes get the ink on your fingers and then it gets onto the felt. And if you're using white or light colour and you get the little ink, then you're going to be stuck. So there you are. Now you just paste that over the top. You can see that the witch's hat is basically taking shape. So you basically put it down. So you've got like, and you can feel with your fingers underneath that there's about 1/4 inch of the cone that's actually inside. So what you would do then is you can either glue this on with a hot glue gun very carefully. Don't try and do the whole hat in one go. Or you can do what I'm going to do, which is going to stitch it. Again, using the back stitch and starting from the seam, the back seam of the cone of the witch's hat. And then I basically stitch round the brim of the hat. Obviously you want to have a slight seam of the hat, but I mean hopefully it won't get pulled about too much, so it's not going to tear, because felt will tear. Well, most materials will when you're using this sort of technique. I mean, I tend to put something around the brim of the hat, like a band or various sort of designs, and using a hot glue gun. that will strengthen the hat to some degree, but if you want to leave it plain, you can do. And basically you go all the way around with your back stitch. This you can't machine, so it'd have to be done by hand. And that's about it, really. I mean, you can work out probably shortcuts yourself, and there you are. Just finish off underneath the hat, trim off the thread, and there you are, really, the witch's hat. So there you are. I hope this helps. I hope you have fun making it. I mean, you can make them whatever size you want, basically. There you are. So you have now got a witch's hat. I just need the witch to put under it. So I hope you have fun making this. And I hope you subscribe to the channel. Thank you.